Good morning, YouTube. So it's like 6 o'clock in the morning and I've been up since 4. So this is not going to be the enthusiastic, energetic, rah-rah video that I'm used to making for y'all. But I wanted to touch base and talk about the Huel Savory meals because we tried them all last week. We got the variety box, which came with 2 of the green curry. Nasty. Tasted like dirt and capsaicin. Not peppers. It didn't even have any pepper flavor. It just tasted like dirt and capsaicin. It was just hot for the sake of making you feel like it wasn't dirt. Awful. And the little cup that came with it burns your hand when you take it out of the microwave, burns your hand with steam when you take the lid off, and did not cook the meal sufficiently, so everything was still crunchy. The little cup is a complete failure. Don't use it. It's actually dangerous. So it came with the green curry, which was not good. Then the pasta bolognese, which actually was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And it wasn't spicy. It was probably the only one that wasn't spicy. It was all right. But it was still crunchy. Like, the directions are a complete failure because they don't have you add enough water. We added the amount of water that it said to add for the first, 4 days. And we tried it different ways. The first time we put the water in, we put it in the cup and we let it cook in the microwave. And that was a failure because the cup just does not function properly. Then the second day we put it in a bowl, added the right amount of water, cooked it in the microwave, and let it sit covered. And it was still crunchy. The third day we tried that method, we tried adding boiling water to it using the right amount of water and let it steep, and it was still crunchy. Finally, on day 4, I added extra water, and that made it not crunchy with the noodles. But then on day 5, I added the same amount of extra water with rice, and it was crunchy, so it needed more extra water. So I'm telling you, if you guys get it, make sure you add the extra water, because it's not like we didn't let it steep long enough, because the water was all absorbed and it needed more water. It was still crunchy. So the pasta bolognese was okay. The chicken and mushrooms just had no flavor at all. I ended up having to add some Worcestershire sauce just so it had some flavor. The chili was just dirt and heat. It didn't taste like anything but dirt and spicy capsaicin. The spicy Indian curry was no spicier than the chili or the green curry. The coconut curry wasn't spicy, really. Not really. I'm very, very sensitive to spice, so I noticed it. Most people probably wouldn't. I added a little bit of sour cream to it just to give it some flavor because it was bland. Here's the thing, you guys. An entire 3 continents were discovered because Europe coveted the spices of the Spice Islands. So how are you going to make a variety kit that includes 3 different kinds of curry and none of them have any flavor except heat, except capsaicin? They don't even taste like the peppers that the heat is coming from. They just taste like burn your mouth heat. Someone over at Huel needs to talk to an actual chef and realize that garlic, onion powder, oregano, tarragon, rosemary, fennel, there's a million spices and herbs and seasonings that could be added to food to make it taste good without affecting the caloric intake, and actually offers some pretty good benefits, some of them. You don't have to make 400-calorie meals that don't taste like anything or that just taste like capsaicin. It doesn't have to be bland as fuck or spicy as fuck. There's a whole range of other choices. And I know this because after last week's week of hell, okay, I'm just going to say it like we're never buying those Huel meals again. The shakes we'll still buy. The meals, never fucking again. Week of hell. After the week of hell, I got with ChatGPT and we created a recipe that is pork stew meat, some heavy whipping cream, some beef broth, a head of cauliflower, peas, and some seasonings. And I slow cooked it all in the crock pot for about 5 hours. And it's fucking delicious. And you know what? It's like 450 calories per serving. And the price for a Huel meal was like $4 per serving for the savory meals. The price for this pork stew is under $2 a serving. So if you're trying to do 400 calorie meals and you really want to save the money and have something that tastes good and doesn't feel like diet food, because let me tell you, this pork stew was really good and satisfying and filling, and it had like a rich texture on the tongue, and it was good. So if you want to, try another way, try ChatGPT. Tell it you want a 400 calorie meal. Tell it what you like, tell it what you don't like, and let it create your recipe. Tell it how much effort you want to invest in trying to cook it. And then get yourself some little meal prep containers at Walmart for like 15 bucks. You can get 30 of them. And they even have 2 separate sides, so they actually have a 1 cavity, a 2 cavity, and a 3 cavity. So you can make like homemade Lunchables for if you want, which is what I'm doing for my husband for his lunches. And you can seal them up and put them in the fridge. Those little tin things that I showed y'all with the lids that we got on Temu, we got those on Temu. Those work great because they have a rubber seal around them. So for soup, pop those in, no leakage. You could shake them all day and they won't leak. And you could totally do a 400 calorie meal yourself for a hell of a lot less money. And it will taste better, guaranteed. If it doesn't, it's your own fault because you made it. But it should. Especially, it might cost a little bit more to buy the spices, but once you have the spices in your cupboard, a jar of spices can last a long time. They can go a long way. Especially if you get them at like Costco in the big tubs. Woo, those last forever. So, yeah, I am going to have to apologetically give the Huel Savory meals 4 very enthusiastic thumbs down. We didn't like any of them at all. Not even a little bit. The ones that were actually palatable and didn't feel like torture were only palatable and didn't feel like torture because they either had no flavor at all or because we actually had to add stuff to them so that they had some flavor. The ones that had any flavor, they were dirt and it felt like torture eating them. It was awful.